What's going on, hooligans and gooligans? It's Baby Moy along with the crew, and as we all know, today is 9/11, a day that's pretty much cemented in stone. A day in which we reflect back on and we ask ourselves questions. And two questions that we ask ourselves primarily are why and how? Why did this have to happen? And as for the hows, they come in abundance. How did they breach security? 19 of them, mind you. How do you have the heart
19.
to even execute something like this? And more importantly, how do you have the heart and the will for those who lost a bunch of loved ones, family, friends? How do you have the courage to wake up every day and look at life and try to persevere and move on? It's not an easy thing. Loss isn't an easy thing. For those firemen to go in there, some voluntarily, and I'm sure scared, to put their lives as something that I'm assuming they viewed as secondary to help those who are in dire need at that moment, who felt desperation, who felt fear. For those who acted, who responded, I more than tip off my hat to y'all. And to those who rest in the arms of Jesus, I send a shout out to y'all as well, and to your families, whom I know you're looking down upon and smiling at. In tribute to 9/11, before we get the show really kicked off, I'm going to play something. And to you, to that little girl now all grown up, God bless you.
It's been a year, Daddy. I really, really miss you. Mommy says we're safe now in a beautiful place called heaven. We have your favorite dinner tonight. I ate it all up, even though I don't like carrots. I learned how to swim this summer. I can even open my eyes. I'm underwater.
Wow.
Can you see me? I started kindergarten this year.
Oh my God.
I carry a picture of us, my Blue's Clues lunchbox.
Oh my God.
There's nothing more heartbreaking.
You are the greatest, Daddy.
A child mourning the loss of their parents.
I can swing on the swing by myself.
Oh my God.
Even though I miss you pushing me. Can't you see me?
Oh my God.
I miss how you used to tickle me.
Love is all that I need.
Tickle my belly.
And I found it there in your heart.
My belly hurts.
It isn't too hard to see. We're in heaven.
I try not to cry.
I've been waiting for so long.
Andy says it's okay.
Something to love to come along.
I know you don't like it when I cry.
Now our dreams are coming true. Through the good times and the bad.
You never wanted me to be sad.
I'll be standing there by you.
I tried, Daniel, but it hurts.
Baby, you're all that I
Is
want.
it true you're not coming home?
Lying here in my arms,
Maybe someday.
finding it hard to believe we're in heaven.
I can visit you in heaven, okay?
Love is all that I need, and I found it there in your heart. It isn't too hard to see we're in heaven.
It's time for me to go to bed now.
Oh,
I sleep with the light on, just in case you come home. And kiss me goodnight. I love you so much.
we're in heaven.
I miss you, Daddy.
And that is what some of us are left to endure.
And that is the damage that these heartless cowards have caused to so many. All in the name of greed and corruption. They took thousands of innocent lives. All for their own twisted gain. They destroyed many, many, many thousands of lives. May every single one of you that had lost your lives on that day continue to be the guardian angels over your loved ones. And may that man continue to be the guardian angel over his daughter and every other person up there. Continue to watch over your families and loved ones. That day, Tuesday, September 11, 2001, began a chain of events that would change the complexion of this nation forever
And the world.
and the world.
Were they ever so right when they said that America would never be the same again? To some degree, we've walked out of those ashes literally and figuratively. And to some degree, we haven't. Obviously, the scars are deep for those who still mourn the loss of those whom they once held and loved. But even for the rest of us, some of us walk around looking over our shoulder. Some of us even wake up wondering, what's next? Who's next? And how? And again, that question, why?
The most heartbreaking thing for those who were directly affected by this senseless, cowardly, selfish act is that these families, these people, haven't had justice, haven't had closure, haven't been able to live in peace. This is not What happened to these thousands of people 16 years ago on that Tuesday? They didn't die of natural causes. They were taken from their families by a group of greedy, selfish, corrupt,
Brutally and
uncivilized
shamelessly
people.
and namelessly.
All in the name of greed and corruption. How can you begin to even have peace, make peace with such a thing? Children lost their fathers. Mothers and fathers lost their children. Wives lost their husbands. Husbands lost their wives. All for what? Greed and corruption.
And yet they turn around and they say that it's in a book, that it's what they were constructed and instructed to believe. Belief and faith are one thing. Murder, chaos, mass destruction is another.
Absolutely.
And to stamp it with religious purpose is disgusting and
Absolutely.
very blasphemous.
It's blasphemous. It's disgusting. It goes against everything that God stands for. And I'm not talking about any sort of biblical commandments. I'm just talking about basic principles. Very basic principles. I don't even have to go in depth with biblical commandment. I'm just simply talking about basic principles that all of us can understand and all of us can appreciate.
Just the principle of respect alone.
Anyone who endorses this kind of behavior is these aren't these religious organizations. These are cults. These are cults whose main agenda is to control the masses. That's it.
With fear.
They want to have control. They want to control you with fear, with hate propaganda. This is what they want to do. The devil's plan is to divide and conquer us. That's his plan. And he's using these people to do it. The powers that be, that colluded to cause this senseless act 16 years ago. The powers that be that preyed on our genuine desire to be patriotic.
You know, before we came on to do this particular cast, my colleague here, Ness, said something along the lines that I'm going to kind of paraphrase. Gets easier every year. He didn't say easy. And when he says easier, you take that for what it is and for what little, very little value it holds. Because I know I look back on this day and it seemed like it happened yesterday.
It really does. It's been 16 years, but it still seems like it was yesterday.
And being so close to everything. Witnessing how those poor people, some of them, the last decision of their lives came down to, do I die suffocated or burnt, or do I jump out of here? Just imagine.
And those
Imagine
are
the fear,
images
the desperation, so much so that you had to choose which way do I want to die.
And we all remember watching the images of people jumping out of those windows on damn near every network, news
Absolutely.
and non-news related. Those images plastered all over every channel, every television screen, whether you were near it or not, all over the nation. We witnessed this horrific tragedy.
I remember that morning, bro. You know, I was a junior in high school. And just like any other typical morning, you know, started off just talking about Raw and football and all that good stuff. You know. And at around the time that these incidents started to unfold, now you keep in mind, I'm very close to this. Like a good 5 minutes away, you know? And I heard what seemed to, at least at the time, it sounded like, you know when trucks pass by, you hear that boom boom.
Yeah.
And it kind of shakes the foundation a little bit.
Yeah.
It was kind of that. So I paid no mind to it. You know, I thought, oh, okay, truck passing by, wow. And I remember one of my thoughts was, wow, so early in the morning. You know, these usually don't pass through till maybe 11, 12, 12 in the afternoon. But either way, you know, I mean, ain't nobody gonna think that there's something major and ugly and wicked unfolding. Of course not.
No.
And no sooner did that happen, a couple minutes later, one of the security guards walked in to the classroom that I was situated in, and I clearly remember him saying, "You guys got to step outside. There's some S going on." Now, you know it's major because in front of students, guards, teachers, ain't nobody gonna use language like that.
Yeah.
So we went outside, and I remember one of the students saying, "Oh my gosh, one of the towers on fire." And again, you don't think terrorism.
No.
You think freak accident of sort. You know, but then the question arose, how could he have caught that building when it's so sunny outside, not a cloud in the sky? But either way, anything is propense to happen. So, went back inside. I don't know what gave my teacher the, I guess, instinct to say, let me turn on the TV just to check further in what's going on here. And obviously the news was on. No sooner did the TV flip on, and there's images and photographs and, you know, just like any other regular newscast. At around 9:02, give or take, 9:03, we see this plane coming in at somewhat of a right angle of sort, flying very sporadically, and hits the other tower, I believe the south, if I'm not mistaken. And it was at that very point in which all the questions kind of stopped. And we knew now that it wasn't an accident. We knew that it was deliberate. We knew that it was something that was planned, put together, and executed, may I say, very well. I remember how people afterwards freaked out. It was crazy. Some people screaming, some people were angry, some people were crying. Now, naturally, I'm somebody that stays really calm during situations like these. And I will say I was. But only to a certain extent, because my father, he kind of works. Well, he works. He works near that area, and I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, I hope my dad is safe." You know, and I remember somewhat feeling anguished and wanting to reach out to him and just, just
see
to
if
be
he was
able to
alright.
say hi, just
Yeah.
to know that you're okay. I also remembered thinking to myself, what if these people start attacking civilian places? Like hospitals and schools. And I thought, oh God, is this really the last place I want to see? Obviously it wasn't. But I maintained, to what it was worth, I maintained a cool head, mind you. It's hard. It's difficult, bro. Especially when everybody else is freaking out around you, but you freak out, I freak out. What are we doing here,
Yeah.
So I had to stay cool. I remember seeing my mom walk into the classroom, and like a little baby, I remember saying, "Mommy." I usually call my mom Mom. I usually never refer to her as Mommy. But I remember that so clearly. Just like
Yeah.
a child. And she took me in her arms. And I remember how she hugged me. We stepped outside and man, the scene was so chaotic. I remember there were police everywhere, bro, and all I heard, move, 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 get out of the way, go, 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 move, move, move. It was surreal. It was unbelievable. Seeing my mom's anguish, her desperation, wanting to know if my dad was okay, I had to keep reminding her that everything was gonna be all right. Which it was, but obviously, naturally, we're gonna feel some sort of fear, some sort of
Anxiety.
impatientness and anxiety.
Yeah. Yes. Of course.
I finally reached my dad at around 12:30, 1 p.m., give or take. And I heard what was going on the other side of the phone. And my dad's like, man, people are going crazy. Some people are running back and forth, not knowing what to do, where to go. Other people are just frozen. Other people are it was just a mess. But I was so relieved to have heard from my dad. So relieved. I remember not seeing him until maybe 8 or 9 p.m. that day. Because obviously he wasn't going to be able to drive on through, so he had to get home via ferry.
Yeah.
And my dad himself witnessed the buildings coming down. I witnessed it on TV. But no matter how you slice it, and no matter where you were, this is a day that affected all of us to a certain degree. To some of us more, especially to those who lost somebody. And especially to those who are close. Like Ness and I. I know, Crystal here. You're still here?
I'm here.
I know you're quite a ways from all of this. But I'm sure you have an account.
I do. It was 8-something in the morning Central Time when the towers got hit. And I was in a classroom eating donuts.
I love donuts.
Donuts.
And drinking a Dr. Pepper because I was a Dr. Pepper fiend.
That's a
back then.
weird combo.
I didn't like coffee back then. And Mr. Jones, our government teacher, may he rest in peace, I believe was in the middle of a flashback because he went to war. He came down, he ran in the classroom, and he said, "What the F is going on?" And he threw his desk out of the window. And he finally came to and he said, "The towers have been struck down." And everyone was angry that this happened. I was saddened and I was angry. And it was a clear day, just there was no clouds or anything up in the sky. No, we weren't, I wasn't there. But I remember calling my grandma from a payphone and asking her if she was okay. And she was. She didn't even know. I told her, and she flipped on the news, and it was a different day. We watched it all day long in school. There were no classes that day.
Did you watch anything unfold on TV?
Yes. The second tower got hit.
What was the scene?
It was very quiet where we were. It was so quiet you could hear a pen drop. No one said a word. We all held our breath, and we couldn't believe this was happening to America. And it just goes to show you that even the great nation of America could fall.
Yeah, you know,
Two days.
it's just amazing, just incredible how we have such vivid memories of that day.
2 days later, I was in my mom's pickup truck, listening to the radio, and I never heard Bush so mad. Now, he was the governor of Texas before he became president.
Well, he was the president at that time, yeah.
Yes, I never heard him
Yeah.
so mad on the radio. And then he announced the war.
Yeah.
I was hoping it wouldn't have come down to that. I was praying, but it did.
Unfortunately, yes. And the chain of
That's
events that
unfortunately
followed.
what happened. Yeah.
Like we said, you know,
Yeah.
this brought forth so much
So much, yeah.
evil.
So many changes. I remember I remember that day. I feel like it was yesterday. You know, it was a Tuesday, as I stated earlier. You know, I was in the 8th grade at the time. I got up that morning, like I would any other morning, and just got ready for school and went. Now, I wasn't made aware of any of this until like about 11 o'clock, when my language arts teacher came in and said to us, "I just heard on the radio that the Twin Towers are bombed." Now, mind you, at that time, I didn't really think much of it. I went home early that day. And it wasn't until I sat down and started flipping through the channels that I recognized the severity of what had just taken place. It was on every channel practically. The mood was just so somber the rest of the day. There was a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of fear. And the months to follow were just so intense, with the threats of war and chemical warfare
The talks of a lockdown at
Parent.
schools as well. Let's not forget.
and the talk, and the talks of lockdowns at schools. It was, I mean, as teenagers, man, that stuff just messes with your head. I didn't know what to think, to be honest with you. I tried to, boy, I can only imagine, back in those days, social media wasn't really around, so, but even back then, this stuff was overwhelming, so I can, imagine now. Imagine. But for 1 month after the other that followed, they kept 1 month anniversary, 2 month anniversary, 3 month.
Yes.
I couldn't take it, man. I'm just like, okay, we get it. And we ended up going to war, which lasted for about, I'd say roughly 10 years. "10 years. War on terrorism is what they called it. I emphasize again, that's what they called it. But as we'd later discover, that's not what it was. It's not what it was. This was a deliberate attack with a specific agenda, which led to a war that had another specific agenda. And I salute those brave men and women who had the intention of fighting for us, the people. Unfortunately, they were misled by their employers, just like the rest of us. This war we were involved in was about oil and drugs, not weapons of mass destruction.
And as for how, some of this was self-inflicted by us. When I say us, I don't mean us. I mean those people who oversee the powers that be.
Yep.
We would later find out that they knew about this 6 months prior to this happening. This
And
goes
so-
to show you right here. This goes to show you. All this talk about national security, all this talk about putting up walls to secure borders.
It's for
Our
naught.
worst enemy is right here in our own backyard. Our own worst enemy is at the White House. That's where they are. They're at the White House. They're at government buildings. This is where they are. This is nothing more than gang warfare. This is all at the highest level.
And all for them to gain what?
All for the name of greed and corruption, as I stated earlier.
I had 2 cousins that came back. The first one was so angry. He saw me and the first question he asked was, why? It wasn't even relevant. And I remember thinking, what's he mean by that? And he said, I can't talk about it, but it's not, it makes no sense. And it was later that I found out what he meant.
Let's
It's
backtrack.
so sad too.
Go ahead,
It's just so sad. They go to these high schools and recruit these impressionable kids.
Yeah.
Tell them you can be all you can be, fight for your country, etc., etc.
And simply, they're just
what they
kids
really
who
doing-
want to. You know,
They're
they're
essentially
kids.
just kids who just
They're
wanna make a
kids who want
difference.
to be doctors, who want
They
to
wanna make a
be,
difference.
you know, lawyers, baseball, football players.
They want to make a difference. Just in society, and they want to make a difference here for their country.
The last thing on their
instead, they
mind
get
is, I want to
turned-
hold a gun and shoot somebody's head off.
Instead, they get turned into killing machines, and that's it.
And against
Instead
their
of
will.
greed and corruption. Yeah. With this false sense of patriotism. As I said before, this is gang warfare at the highest level. That's what it is. It's gang warfare. Like the Bloods and Crips. But multiply that times 1,000. And who usually pays the price? Those of us, the civilians that are caught in the middle.
I remember for a whole year my cousin kept saying the military is corrupt.
Think about how many innocent lives were lost overseas. Innocent women and children. In those little towns, villages that they destroyed over there. Quote unquote, looking for weapons of mass destruction. Quote unquote, liberating Iraq.
Is there any
Not to mention
difference
the
in terms of what they
psychological
did
damage.
versus what we did?
Absolutely not.
Because they too took away innocent lives.
Yeah. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
So war is no different than terrorism. Because when you really look
War
at
is
it, war is terrorism.
terrorism. It is terrorism. Absolutely.
Because no sooner do you hear of the rumors of war, people are instinctively going to feel what? Fear. War is terrorism. War isn't a form of justice. It's just a form to very selfishly obtain what it is that your greedy ass is looking for.
Yeah.
Yep.
And terrorism has no face, it has no ethnicity, it has no nationality, it has no name. It is what it is. It's terrorism. It's an equal opportunity employer.
And the guy at the White House says he wants to stop it. That's like saying you want to stop all wars.
If he really wanted to stop it, why would he take white supremacist groups off the Terror Watch program?
Thank you.
Who, by the way, are more terroristic than the ones that he's singling out.
Yep.
The numbers back that up.
Exactly.
The numbers back it up. The data backs it up.
Yep.
It's a damn shame.
One of the first executive orders he signed was that blatantly discriminatory travel ban.
Yes.
His justification for it was 9/11. The countries on this list weren't. I repeat, they were not where the hijackers are from. None of them.
So how the hell does that even connect?
It doesn't.
Listen, they obviously think that some of us are dumb, stupid, have our eyes closed. But the more and more they do, the more and more they lead us to the truth.
Oh yeah, the truth does not hide from us, man. It doesn't. The devil is a liar. The truth does not hide from us.
That's right.
Whether we want to see it is a whole nother story. Whether we want to turn the blind eye to it, that's a whole nother story. But it's right there in our faces. It's right there.
You know, when this event, when everything happened and maybe a week later, give or take. When I was more so at a peace of mind with my own self, I remember wrestling with the question, how did they allow 19 of them to pass?
Inside job,
Yep.
as we would later
I don't
discover.
care what anybody says. It's an
There is
inside
no
job.
other way to explain these
Think
breaches
about
of
the security that they breached. Think about whose security they breached.
There's no other way to explain it other than it was an inside job.
Yep. And they all knew about it.
Of course they did. 6 months prior to this happening, they knew this was happening.
Heck,
Bro.
they knew years before that.
Bro, there's
Of course,
there's
they're all
document
working together, man.
there's document of one of them being detained. Do you not think that they had an opportunity to say, "Hey, let's swap this guy," and they had him right there? This didn't need
Exactly.
to happen.
No,
And they had
didn't.
the leader in 87. They had the leader in 94.
They had
Yeah,
him.
here.
And you know what? The leader said to George W. Bush Sr.
In
He
93, right?
said-
Yeah.
Yeah. He said, one day there will come a time when America will not stand. Again, when Clinton was in, his administration happened. He said, one day this nation will not stand. Because they had him. And they let him go. Because they
Is it
didn't
any
have
coi-
any
Is it any
evidence to hold
coincidence?
him.
Is there any coincidence that when both Bush Sr. and Bush Jr. were in office, the Twin Towers were attacked?
None at all.
Exactly.
None
There's
at
none.
all.
Because that wasn't the first time that this happened.
No.
Look at the history, folks. It's all right there.
It's a shame. It's a shame. A self-inflicted wound.
Ask yourselves, for everybody out there who is patriotic, ask yourselves this question. How is your freedom being protected when in another country? Think about that. I'd like to pose that question to you guys right now. We've always heard that they're out there protecting our freedom. So, how is that? I'm fighting in another country to protect the freedoms here back home. How is that even possible?
And yet they get captured and tortured and
How does that make sense? Are these people in these other countries interfering with our rights? Are they violating our civil rights? Are they violating our freedoms? Are they? Are the Iraqi police racially profiling us over here? No.
Absolutely not.
no. But guess what? Our cops are doing it here. And the question is, do we really have freedom?
Food for thought.
Look how censored we are.
Sad, man. You know, after this event happened and this war took place, every time Veterans Day came up, every time this day came up, every time a sporting event saluted the troops for, quote unquote, protecting our freedom.
Unbeknownst to them, sorry.
I've always felt a little uneasy. I always felt a little that kind of made my stomach turn hearing that, knowing what I know.
Yeah, because unbeknownst to these people who go out there and fight, and through trickery, you know, they think that that's what they're doing. That's what they're told
Yes.
they're doing. But you
I
know
salute-
what?
I
What
salute-
happens?
what I
What
salute-
happens after they come back? What happens to
They come
those who
back.
end up with missing limbs, or who are wheelchair bound, or face some sort of you know, post PTSD?
They get tossed aside like pieces of garbage. That's what happens. They come back and they get a big FU from their employers.
And some of them are even homeless because
Yeah.
they can't handle being in regular society.
They're homeless. They're suicidal. They're homicidal. Look at that guy who shot up those police in Dallas last year. He was a former
Yeah.
Army veteran. He was an Army veteran. Look at those people who have shot up those military bases. Former veterans who are fed up with the deceit and the lies and the corruption.
At the end of the day,
Our
war.
government.
And because many of us have been brainwashed into believing this false sense of patriotism, they couldn't tell us anything because we would look at them like they were crazy. Oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
Food for thought. Our government is our own worst enemy, folks.
It is. It is. It's not any other country. It's right here in our own backyard.
Well, like noted, it never gets easy. Gets
No,
easier,
Absolutely not.
but it never gets easy. And when I say easier, doesn't mean that the impact really decreases in
Lessens.
how much
Still
it
the same.
hurts.
Still the same, especially for those who lost their loved ones, specifically. You know, I hope that someday they're able to be at peace if they're not already, knowing that true justice will be served, and that their loved ones are in a much, much, much better place than this.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, I hope that to some of them out there, that they're able to find closure in that. And be at peace with the fact that at least they know that they're better off than we are. Because we're the ones left here asking ourselves why and how,
Why?
and left
How and just,
mourning.
just trying to process everything. Yeah.
So again, God bless you to the families affected, to the brave souls who made their own lives secondary for the purpose of saving those in need.
Yeah. To all those to all those heroes out there, thank you very much. Very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
Before we go, our prayers and thoughts go out for the people that were affected by Hurricane Harvey and that are still affected, and also that are affected by Irma.
Amen. Absolutely. If there's ever a time for us to come together and rise above all this, it's now. This is it. Like, here in America, the very essence of this country is its diversity. Without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. Without it, there would be the greatness of this country wouldn't exist without its diversity. That's what makes this country so great. Its diversity.
You know,
This is the melting pot, yeah. This country is unlike any other. We have many, many, many kinds of people here. Many different cultures, many different languages, many different personalities, many different characteristics that make up the very foundation, very essence of America.
Exactly. So, going back to how time doesn't necessarily soften the impact. The video that I played to commence this particular podcast was followed up. And as we listen to this, I want you guys watching out there to reflect on how it never gets easier, in essence, but you do find closure. And from that sense alone, it helps. It really does help. So from that aspect alone, yes, that's what we mean by easier. But in reality,
Yes.
it never really does get easier.
So to all of you out there that are still trying to process everything, take time to soak up those small victories. It's gonna, one day at a time, one moment at a time.
For our ENT hooligans and all of us, on behalf of all of us, once again, we give you God's blessings, and our heart, our thoughts, our prayers are with you guys each and every day. God bless you guys.
It's been a year, Daddy. I really, really miss you. Mommy says you're safe now in a beautiful place called heaven.
Oh, thinking about our younger years.
We had your favorite dinner tonight,
There was only you and me.
and I ate it
We
all
were
up.
young and wild and free.
Even though I don't like carrots,
Now nothing can take you away from me.
I learned how to swim this summer,
We've been down that road before.
and I kept even open my
That's
eyes
over now.
when I'm underwater.
You may come in back for more.
Can you see me? I miss you, Daddy.
Baby, you're all that I want. And you're lying
Wow.
here in my arms, finding it hard to believe we're in heaven.
It's been 5 years, Daddy.
Love is all that I need.
I'm in 5th grade
And I'll
now.
find it there in your heart.
I really like
It
computers,
isn't too hard to see.
but math is hard.
Heaven.
Mommy lets me sleep in one of your t-shirts.
Oh, wow.
See your light, you find someone.
God
I
bless.
think it still smells like you.
God bless.
Turn your world around.
I don't need to sleep with the light on
You
anymore.
up when you're feeling down.
I'm trying not to cry, Daddy, but it still hurts.
Now nothing can change what you mean to
Oh.
me.
Damn.
I really miss you, Daddy.
There's a lot that I could say. Just hold me now.
Can you see me?
Oh, man.
The love will light the way.
Oh, my God.
It's been 10 years, Daddy.
Baby, you're all that I want.
I started high school.
You're lying here in my arms.
I made the honor roll.
Finding it hard to believe.
I hope you're proud of me.
Heaven.
I'm also on the soccer team.
Love is all that I need.
Can you see me on
And
the
I
field?
found it there in your heart. It isn't too hard to see.
I started thinking about
We're in
colleges.
heaven.
Do you think I can be a doctor?
Now our dreams are coming true.
aisle.
Oh wow.
I try not to be sad,
Oh my
but
god.
it hurts.
Oh my god.
I hope you know you're my hero.
Love is all that I need, and I found it there in your heart.
Wow.
It isn't too hard to see we're in heaven.
I love you so much.
Oh,
Can you see me? Can you see me?
I miss you, Daddy.
I really miss you, Daddy. I miss you, Daddy.
we're in heaven.
My last words are keep your dad's memory alive. As you always
Amen.
will and always do.
Yeah, absolutely.
God bless you.